you aren't the main character of your content. Your audience is, your dream client is, and you get to be the guide. If the main character never ran into those guides, they would probably not have the character arc that we know and love of all these really famous movies and stories.
Welcome to Coffee and SEO, where we sit down for a coffee hour together and simplify SEO, making it super approachable for your business. I'm Taylor, your host and the founder of Aligned SEO. And at Aligned SEO, we specialize in helping photographers, creatives, and service providers get visible online and reach their dream clients through holistic SEO strategies. Whether you're looking to increase your Google rankings, attract more dream clients, or just make sense of SEO, I will be your SEO guide and bestie. So let's simplify SEO, align it with your goals, and get your website working just as hard as you do so you can get back to doing what you love. I'm here today with Hannah Plourde, and we're chatting about messaging and storytelling. I'm really excited. We're gonna have a great chat today. Thank you so much, Hannah, for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. I'm so happy to be here.
Why don't we start with you just telling us a little bit about who you are and your journey to becoming a marketing and business coach?
Yeah, so my journey goes back to before I even thought entrepreneurship was a possibility for me. I was working my way up the ladder in what I thought was a safe job.
Mm.
And I, like many people, when the pandemic happened, lost my job, but also my housing with that.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I was living on property I was doing outdoor education, and our job was like very intense. We were out in the woods with kids, teaching them, and we lived on property, we ate on property, and it was a good deal. And I was like, okay, I don't know if this is for my life, but this is for now great. Before I lost my job, I had dabbled into a side hustle where I was selling the resources that I used to teach the kids for homeschool families and other teachers on Etsy and a site called Teachers Pay Teachers. And I was getting like, I don't know, $500 a month from that. It's not a ton of
Okay.
stuff, but that's where I really learned how to start marketing. And when the pandemic happened, I lost my job and my housing. At that point, I was like, I have nothing else to lose. I was living in the basement of one of our good friends, me and my fiance, and our two very large rabbits at the
Oh
time.
my gosh.
And I was like, literally, I don't even know. No one has jobs. The world's kind of paused. What's going on? And
Mhm.
I saw a Facebook post about someone offering social media management. And I was like, what
Mm.
is that? And I looked into it and I realized I was basically already doing that for myself. And I was in these communities with other teachers who were trying to take their stores and like make some passive income from that.
Mhm.
A lot of people are asking me my story and how I was able to generate some passive income, how I was able to get eyeballs on my store using Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube. And at that point, I was not confident enough to be like, here's my strategy. But I was like, hey, why don't I try doing it for you? So I ended up just going really deep into the social media management done for you world. And I booked out my business in 6 months and I doubled my income
Wow.
from my full-time job that I lost in 6 months. And my mind was blown. We were able to buy a house, which I never thought was going to be possible
Oh
at the
my
age of
gosh.
25. And then at that point, like everything had just progressed. And then I had people ask me, how did you book out your done for you service-based business? And I started mentoring. And here I am since. And from day one, like even that little side hustle that I didn't think was going to become anything, I was telling my story. I was sharing what I was
Mhm.
doing every single day. I was being really authentic and transparent.
Mhm.
And I've now evolved into telling different kinds of stories beyond like my rags to riches story. But
Mhm.
from day one, storytelling has always been a huge part of my brand and how I've signed clients. And it literally hasn't changed. The space changed. TikTok came, and then I was on Clubhouse. I don't know if you ever remember that one,
Uh-huh.
but but there was like so many different things, but the strategy basically stayed the same. And now
Wow.
I only do mentoring and helping online service providers, whether you're doing done for you service providers or you're a coach or something. I only offer mentorship on that level now.
Okay. Wow. That's an incredible story and
Thank
journey,
you.
truly, from a career that I mean, it's related, but you started somewhere completely different and look at where you are today. And it's because of that method that I'm excited, really excited to chat about today. I think for me, and I wonder if a lot of my listeners, storytelling actually doesn't come very natural. Like I'm much better at
Yeah.
like sharing information and selling, but I know it's a skill that's so important right now, especially with, I can't stop talking about this, but the coming of AI and how that's changing everything and this need for humans to connect with other people and their stories. So I'm so excited to learn from you and chat about
Yeah.
this today. I know you have a method, obviously, that you've developed over time. The one that you have shared stays has stayed the same no matter what platform came and went or services came and went too. So tell us about that method.
Yeah. First, I want to, before I go into that, I think a lot of people get hung up on storytelling because they think their story is not good enough. And that's
Mm,
where this method comes in because your story is very important. Don't get me wrong. And I have a magic ability of pulling stories out of people, but it goes deeper than that. There's different types of storytelling. And this is where my framework comes in, the main character messaging method,
mm,
which is you aren't the main character of your content. Your audience is, your dream client is, and you get to
mm.
be the guide. Think of Yoda and Gandalf and those like side characters who
Yeah.
are so important to the story, but you don't think of them as the main character of those movies. But if the main character never ran into those guides, they would probably
Mm,
not have the character arc that we know and love of all these really famous movies and stories. Like your story, I usually say, like, if you're posting 7 times a week, one of those should be about
mhm.
you. Maybe
Yeah.
one or two of those should be about your clients and the work that you're doing, and the rest should be about your dream clients, your audience,
Mhm.
and like you're foreshadowing what's possible for them. You're calling out things they're currently doing that maybe isn't working for them. You're highlighting attributes about them that you're proud of and that you see
Mhm.
in them. And notice that I'm not like saying we're shaming them or anything like that.
Mm,
We want our
mhm.
main characters to feel empowered and like they can do this, because if we think about those stories, usually the moment that our main character meets the guide is one of their lowest. They're doubting themselves, they think
Mhm.
that they can't do it, and it's our job as the guide to really gas them up a bit and make
Yeah,
them
yeah.
more empowered and like they can do anything. And it's coming from an educational point, it's coming from an
Uh-huh.
empowerment belief shifting point. And also, this is again where your story can come in. You can share why you are different, why you are the guide for them, and that makes you different from other people who are doing the exact same thing as you or similar things,
Yeah.
but what makes you different?
I love that. That's definitely a really great way to stand out. But I also love this idea of empowering the main character, our clients, potential clients. I feel like in the past, I know I've done a lot of that, like pain point marketing, which I think has a time and a place. But I really love this idea of don't just stop there, take it a little bit further to, okay, here's how you can change this for yourself. You can change this story for you. So I'm curious then, from a service provider standpoint, how do you go about positioning yourself as this guide?
Yeah, great question. One of the exercises that I love to start all of my clients with, and I'm going to share it with y'all for free today, is picturing yourself as the director of the movie for your main character, aka our dream clients. When we think about a 90s, early 2000s rom-com, that opening montage scene of our client or our main character of the movie usually sets the scene and tells us everything we need to know about them. So this exercise is going to help you get in the shoes as if you're reading their personal diary, get in the minds of your dream clients,
Hmm.
and really pull out some messaging that you can use in your content, some stories that you can use in your content to get people to stop scrolling, because they're going to literally go,
Hmm.
"Oh my gosh, she's in my mind. How does she know this about me?" And that in itself is like going to be way better than any viral hook on your For You page or
Ooh,
your Explore page. So
yeah.
think about yourself as the director. What does their opening scene look like for your dream client? For me, I know my dream clients, they wake up in the morning and they instantly check their notifications to see if their video went viral yesterday, if suddenly
Mm,
they have their DMs filled with prospects who want to work with them. They woke up to some strangers. And then when that doesn't happen, they get really crushed and they will go and stalk their like inspiration
Mm-hmm.
creators. They'll go and check out their competition, what they've been doing, and compare themselves and be like, why is this person, why is Coach Sally doing better than me? And instantly that sets them into a little bit of a spiral. They think, oh, I need
Uh-huh.
to be creating this type of content. So they try to create content based on Coach Sally instead of, or marketing mentor, marketing done for you service provider, their post. And they're like emulating someone else instead of themselves. So this, for if you're a coach or a done for you service provider, is going to
Mm-hmm.
help you get in the mind. Can go in way more detail than I just did, but you want to get into a lot of detail, but this to get you in
Yeah.
the mind of your dream clients and
Mm-hmm.
specifically who you want to be writing content for. Once
Mm-hmm.
you identify two things, the things they're doing that they think is helping them
Mm-hmm.
and the beliefs that they have. Once you identify these two things, you can start creating content that's going
Ooh.
to really, we're talked about that problem awareness, right? Like this calling out the thing that they think they're doing that's working,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not actually working, is going to help them stop in their shoes and say, oh, I'm literally doing this. I've been doing this for 3 months and everyone tells me I should be doing this, but it's not working. So maybe I need to do something different. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
look. So if you're a done for you marketing person, or if you're done for you service provider, doesn't have to be marketing,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, what are my dream clients currently doing? Back when I was doing social media management, they were like, they were posting like pictures of their dogs or something, like nothing that's
Mm-hmm.
actually helping their businesses grow. And
Uh-huh.
so I could call them out, like you've been posting trending sounds and reels, thinking that's going to help you get more customers for your business when you need to be doing this instead. And
Mm.
this instead is hiring me, having a
Yeah.
content strategy, having insert your own solution there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a done for you service provider, you can do it that way. If you're a
Yeah.
coach, you also have your own, like your clients are doing things. They're not just sitting there on their couch, like twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah.
They're taking action that they think is working, but you're the person who's going to say, no, that's actually not working. Here's what we
Mm.
need to do instead.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. That's already, yeah, so helpful. And definitely I could see how it would be more effective than a lot of the different generic hooks out there. Because it's like a big call out type of hook that's
Yeah.
so relatable to that ideal client. Is there a time and a place for parts of our story, and how do you use that in this
Yeah.
model?
Great question. Yeah. So if we were just using that example, like I go into way more like different examples. This is just one of them. But if we were going to use that call out example of you're doing this, you need to be doing this instead, we can weave in a layer of our own story by saying, I know this because I tried this.
Ah.
Everyone, I tried to grow on TikTok. Now that TikTok's possibly getting banned, I've kind of given up on that. But back when I first started doing TikTok, everyone said you had to post 3 times a day to get seen. So I set a challenge for myself to post 3 times a day for 90 days. And I wanted to test this. I wasn't just posting fluff. I wasn't just posting dog videos. I was posting educational content, authority based content, client stories. And I was doing this every single day. And you know what happened? Nothing. I didn't grow
Ah,
my followers. I got some engagement. I've got some
yeah.
leads and stuff, but not more than I was before. And it wasn't until I started doing this storytelling, I scaled back and I refocused on the thing that's always worked for me, that I saw like my link clicks going up, that people joining my offers that had never talked to me before, or
Mhm.
interacted with me before. So I can say, you think posting or you're posting 3 times a day
Mm,
because Coach Sally told you to post 3 times a day. You need to be focusing on storytelling, or I bet you
mhm.
would get 10 times more engagement if you focused on telling a really good story instead of posting 3 mediocre posts. And then the next slide, if we're doing a carousel post or if we're doing a
Yeah.
podcast interview, if we're, it doesn't matter what format we're in, but the next thing you say is, I tried doing this too. It didn't work for me. And that bridges the authority. Like
Mm,
that brings in you as
yeah.
an authority because you're not just, this isn't Chat GPT telling you this. You've
Right.
actually tried and tested and you found that this way works better for you. So if the person reading it behind the screens, like, yeah, I've been trying posting 3 times a day for 30 days now and it still isn't working for
Mm.
me. Maybe I should try out her strategy instead.
I love that it within that is like really a lot of like connection building, which I think is
Yeah.
so important right now. Like I say this a lot, but I feel like nowadays we're getting sold to pretty much like on every single platform and in our personal lives and everywhere. And so I feel like, at least for me, the people that I connect with the most are the ones that show that human side and like their personal experiences and have yeah, trustworthiness and authority. And I think the same case for service providers and websites and all of that. I am
Mhm.
curious. So I work with a lot of photographers and I am a photographer myself. And I feel like that is, you might not think so, but it's definitely for me harder to see the storytelling aspect of a business like photography. So, how would you go about working with someone who is a photographer and wants to be able to position themselves as the guide and their potential clients as the main character?
Yeah, I instantly smiled because I am currently planning my wedding for October and I have to hire a wedding photographer.
Oh
And
my
I'm just thinking
gosh.
about all of like niche photos, like if you're doing brand photo shoots or if you're doing like, I don't know, senior photos or sports photos or
Mhm.
real estate photos or wedding photos, there's a story that the person who's going to hire you has in their mind. So for
Mm.
a wedding photographer, you're really orchestrating, capturing the memories of their big day.
Mhm.
If you're like
Mhm.
a real estate photographer, you're the difference in somebody seeing the listing and saying, "This is my dream house. I'm going to buy this house." There's so many different
Mhm.
stories. And I don't know, maybe challenge me of what like a different niche that I could come up with a story with. But we have to think this is why it's not just about your story, it's about the person
Mm.
who's hiring you, their story, because
Yeah.
they have this imagery in their mind
Mhm.
and your role in that is
Yeah.
so, so important.
It's the story that the client has or is telling themselves. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
really big light bulb moment for me. Because when I think about storytelling, I think about, okay, I have to tell my story somehow and relate it to them. But I love that, especially I think for someone like me who doesn't always love to share all the details of my life. I really love that method of turning their story into the main story, or maybe like relating parts of my story and my experiences to what they're going through.
Yeah, if you can relate to it, why did you pick that niche? Why are you so passionate about that
Mm,
type of photography? But at the
hmm.
end of the day, like to be honest, they don't really care about you as much. They care
Yeah.
about themselves getting the best deal or whatever, the fulfilling their vision. And of course, they want to like you and they want to know your personality. But at the end of the day, it's really about their vision and what they have for
Hmm.
themselves. So talking into that story, plugging that into every platform that you market your business on, that's going to really tug at the heartstrings and get somebody to go from, oh, I just need a photographer to this is the person that I need to hire.
Yeah, definitely a huge way to stand out. I think a lot of photographers will put a bunch of photos on Instagram or put a bunch of photos on their websites and forget that there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of problems that photographers are solving. And so being able to identify some of those pain points, but also how your business fulfills it, I could see that being so useful. So I know you work a lot on social media content creation. Is there a good way to structure, when you think about a website, would you recommend any type of structure to a page that utilizes that storytelling method?
Yeah. That's why I
Mm,
was like, it doesn't matter
hmm.
if it's a podcast episode or if it's a YouTube video or a social media post.
Yeah.
What I think is always important because the main character messaging method, like we want to treat our dream client as the main character, you start with them. You start with what they want,
Mm,
what they're going through, what their desires are, maybe what they have limiting beliefs or whatever that are popping up. And you paint the picture of what they're currently experiencing, foreshadowing what they desire. And then you plug in where you come into that formula. So it's like you, me, us together. And then you can invite
ooh.
them to join.
I love how you just broke that down so simply. You, me, us together, and let's do this.
Yeah. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it and they
Yeah.
can spend, and I was guilty of this. You can spend hours and hours redoing your website, redoing your branding, like making sure everything's perfect. And at the end of the day, like 75% of my clients don't even come from my website. Like they come from my Instagram, they come
Mm,
from just like talking to me, referrals. And yes, my website is important, but at the end of the day, it's the person behind the account that they want to trust and connect with.
yeah. And I feel like no matter what the platform is, if you already have all of those pieces in place, people feel like they know you when they get to that stage of hopping on
Right.
a
Yeah.
sales call, or maybe they don't even need to hop on a sales call. Like they're already way more ready than a cold lead that found you on Instagram from a photo of a dog.
Yeah.
I really love that. So, for more analytical, or I should say skeptical people, which there's nothing wrong with that, how long on average does it take to see results from utilizing this method?
So, in my own personal experience, it can happen as fast as 3 days. But I know that's not for everybody.
Wow.
Like, I can't say it's a blanket statement, but I have done, like, I've had slow periods in my business, and I'll go back. I will literally go through my own training
Mm,
and go through the worksheets and go through everything, refocus this in my content, and I can assign a new client in 3 days. I recently did a content intensive, which was a 75-minute like power hour with a client who came to me. She was in launch for her business. She was selling every day, posting every day, doing everything you should be doing, but
mm,
she really wasn't seeing the people like commenting her trigger words,
mhm,
DMing her for more information, clicking the link and ending up buying her offer. She really wasn't seeing that part of her launch. She was getting engagement, like getting likes and stuff,
mm,
but not the actual conversion. I took a look at her content, and of course, the biggest thing missing was her story and like using storytelling and everything. So we mapped out 30 different pieces of content, and she messaged me again. It was in 3 days. I don't know, three isn't a magic number, but in 3 days, she had someone literally in her DM saying, I want to work with you. So
Wow.
sometimes, especially if like you already have established audience, and we're talking about social media marketing here,
Mhm,
but if you already have people and you've been posting pretty consistently
mhm,
and they have a good sense of who you are, there's a lot of people already lurking in your audience. You don't need to double your following. You don't need to hit 10K followers or anything like that. You don't have to go viral. You just need to learn how to speak to their desires. And that's where this method comes in, is because you're literally saying, I see exactly what you're doing in like the most creepy way. Like I'm reading your diary. I am outside your living room window watching you. And I know exactly what you're doing. And I also know exactly how to fix the issue you're experiencing. Or I know how to like fulfill that need that you have for photographers, for example.
Yeah.
And when someone's scrolling, they're like, whoa, how does she know this about me? Oh my God, this post was made for me. Did she like stalk me or something? Like, I've actually, did you read my mind? Did you like somehow break into my house? It's so funny. It's so creepy, but I love it. But like they're gonna stop because they're like, this post was written for me. This is creepy. And
Yeah.
yes, your engagement might go down because you're weeding out the people that don't need to see it, but it's also gonna get those people that have been following you for a while, just lurking around,
Yeah.
not actually engaging, going, oh snap, this is about me. I need to pay attention and I need to listen and read this. And
Yeah.
it can happen in a couple of days. It can happen in a week. It depends on like
Mhm.
how active your audience and community already is.
I imagine it just depends, but I love that you guys have seen results so quickly by just switching up that messaging. That's really, I think, so great to attract and repel clients. Nobody wants to get in a sales conversation with somebody who's like half in and half out. And I feel like with this storytelling method, you're really finding those people that already like they're there with you and they trust you.
Yeah, it does all the work for you. So you don't have to
Mhm.
spend hours cold DMing people. You don't have to
Yeah.
be spend hours on sales calls. Like if you want to, fine. But I stopped doing sales calls because I find that most people that come into my space already know exactly what they need help with, and
Mm.
might just take 5 messages back and forth in the DMs to figure out exactly where they belong.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. A life without sales calls sounds amazing.
Some people love them, but I am like, I couldn't.
Yeah, I go back and forth for sure. Oh, wow, this was just so valuable. You have so much information to share, and I love this method. I already learned so much from you in just this short meeting. I'm curious for listeners who might be interested in learning more about your coaching services. Can you briefly share a little bit about your main offer or offers?
Yeah. Yeah. So I am most active on Instagram. So first step, go follow me there. But I've got a couple of different styles of offers for you. If you just want to dive into something that's pre-recorded, my main character messaging course is literally where this entire thing was born from. Get that. But then I also have my signature offer is more of like hands-on support with me. And it's 6 months together. Every single week, we're diving into your content and your marketing strategies, your messaging strategies. And then bi-weekly, we're hopping on calls and I'm showing you where you can go deeper in your content, where you can go deeper with your messaging, what gaps you have. And like I said, that client that was on a call with me 3 days later,
Mhm.
she was having people in her inbox asking how to work with her. So if you're like, I've been posting pretty consistently for a while and it feels like I'm doing absolutely nothing. I still have to do all this extra work. I still have to jump on sales calls and send all this cold DMs. Then Force of Nature is the program. So just let me know. And I have a freebie too. If you want to get introduced to storytelling, just take this episode and expand it even more. I've got an hour-long free storytelling workshop, Storytelling 101. That's really good. I just had someone say she watched it 3 times. So go and snatch that up. It's completely free.
Awesome. Yeah, those are amazing offers, and I am definitely going to download that free resource for sure. This is just so valuable. I will link everything in the description below, including your contact information and where to connect with you online. Thank you so much, Hannah. This was just so fun chatting with you and learning from you, and I know it's going to provide so much value to my audience.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you all for listening. I will see you in the next episode.